Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into something you probably don't think about too much.
Yeah.
Buildings.
Uh-huh.
Like the environmental impact of all those concrete jungles we live and work in.
Right.
We've got this research report from MIT's Concrete Sustainability Hub,
Okay.
and it's pretty fascinating. Full of surprises, actually.
Yeah, right off the bat, it challenges some assumptions about what makes a building green, you know?
Exactly. Like they use this thing called life cycle assessment,
Mm-hmm.
or LCA. And it looks at the total environmental impact of a building
Yeah.
from like, digging up the raw materials
Uh-huh.
to the day it gets torn down.
Wow.
And they look at it over a 60-year lifespan.
60 years, that's pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
It is.
And what's really fascinating here is how much they emphasize this thing called operational energy.
Yeah.
The energy used to like heat and cool the building over its lifetime.
Exactly. Keep the lights on, all that.
It accounts for like a huge percentage of a building's total emissions.
It does, like 88 to 98%.
88 to 98%.
Yeah.
So basically, like you could build with, I don't know, recycled unicorn tears and bamboo and all this stuff.
Right.
But if it's an energy hog to heat and cool,
Yeah.
that's your biggest problem.
That's the real footprint, right?
It is. It is.
Not the stuff you built it with, but how you actually use it over decades.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's maybe bring that to something you might be thinking about right now.
Okay.
Like choosing a house.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because most people, I think, would assume that a nice wood house, all natural wood,
Yeah.
has got to be better than like a concrete one
Right.
for the planet.
Of course.
But that's where this research gets kind of interesting.
Okay.
So they looked at single-family homes
Okay.
in two very different climates, Chicago and Phoenix,
Okay. Good comparison.
comparing concrete homes.
Built with these insulated concrete forms.
I've heard of those.
ICF.
Yeah, ICF, yeah. To a traditional wood framing.
Okay.
And the results were, well, they might surprise you.
Okay. Lay it on me. I'm ready. What happened?
Over that 60-year period,
Uh-huh.
the concrete homes often had similar or even lower emissions.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason why it comes back to that operational energy we were talking about.
Okay.
Concrete homes they're better insulated.
Right.
They hold the heat in during the winter,
Uh-huh.
keep cool air in during the summer.
So you're saying a concrete house is basically like a giant thermos.
Exactly, like a giant thermos, and that thermal mass, it makes a big difference. For a typical home in Chicago, for example.
Okay.
Just bumping up the air, sealing to a tight level.
Okay.
So you're making sure there's no drafts.
Right.
You can cut the energy used for heating and cooling
Mm-hmm.
by something like 23%.
23%. Wow, that's huge.
It is.
I had no idea that, like, those construction choices could make such a big difference over time.
Yeah, it all adds up.
Yeah. So, okay, we've talked about homes, right?
Yeah.
But what about, like, if we go bigger?
Mm-hmm.
What about apartment buildings?
Oh, yeah, the multifamily stuff.
Yeah. Do you see the same thing there?
So they looked at that too,
Okay.
comparing concrete and wood framing again
Yeah.
for those multifamily buildings.
Okay.
Same climates, Chicago and Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what?
Is concrete still the winner?
You got it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Similar results. The better insulation means lower energy use over time.
Okay.
Gives concrete that edge. Now, there's another factor that I found pretty interesting.
I'm always up for interesting. Tell me.
It's about the type of concrete mix you use by incorporating more green ingredients, like fly ash.
Fly ash.
It's a byproduct of coal combustion.
Oh, right.
That would otherwise just go to waste.
Right.
You can significantly reduce emissions from concrete production itself.
Oh, okay. So it's like giving the concrete an eco makeover before it even gets to the building site.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Increasing the fly ash from, say, 10 to 50% in the mix cuts those pre-use emissions by 11 to 14%.
Wow.
Small choices, big impact.
Yeah, that is. Okay, so we've talked about houses, we've talked about apartments. What about skyscrapers?
Like
the big one.
Going vertical.
Yeah, steel versus concrete. Who wins?
Yeah, so there was shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
The research compared 12-story office buildings with either concrete or steel frames.
Gotcha.
Again, in both Chicago and Phoenix.
Okay.
And here's where it gets interesting.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Over those 60 years, the emissions for concrete and steel buildings were actually pretty comparable.
Really?
Yeah, in both climates.
I would have thought concrete would have won again.
It's not as clear-cut as with the houses and apartments. Yeah, it comes down to a trade-off, right?
Okay.
Steel's lighter than concrete,
Right.
so you need less of it to build a skyscraper.
Okay.
But those concrete buildings, they have a serious advantage when it comes to energy efficiency.
Right, because of the insulation, the thermal mass, all that.
Exactly, exactly.
Huh?
So it's a real tug of war.
Wow. So, like, choosing between those two for a skyscraper comes down to more than just the material itself.
It does, yeah.
It's a lot about the design choices and things like that.
Absolutely. It's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
And that's where innovation comes in.
Okay.
The MIT researchers are doing some really cool work on new technologies that could actually give concrete an even bigger advantage in the future.
Oh, okay. Now you've really got my attention. What kind of innovations?
They're developing these low-lift cooling systems that use concrete's thermal mass to drastically reduce the energy needed for cooling.
Interesting.
Think of it like a giant battery that soaks up coolness at night and releases it during the day.
Wow. So like the skyscraper could be its own little energy storage thing?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Early estimates suggest these systems could cut cooling energy by like 84%.
84%? That's incredible.
It is.
So yeah, if you're a building owner, you've got to be looking at this and thinking this is the future, right?
It's a glimpse into a future where our buildings work with the environment.
Yeah.
Not against it.
I love it.
And that's something we should all be excited about.
Absolutely. So we've seen like concrete's potential when it comes to energy efficiency. But I'm kind of curious about those other environmental impacts you mentioned earlier.
Right.
Like, what about water usage and effects on ecosystems and things like that?
Yeah, those are definitely important to think about. It's like looking at the whole environmental recipe of a building, right?
Yeah.
Not just the energy consumption.
Right. We need the whole picture.
Exactly. And just like with food, there's often trade-offs to consider.
Okay.
So, for example, concrete excels in energy efficiency and durability.
Right.
But it does require a lot of water to produce.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the extraction of raw materials like sand and gravel, which can disrupt habitats and cause erosion if it's not done responsibly.
Right, right.
So it's a complex web of impacts.
Yeah.
And there's definitely room for improvement in how we source and produce these materials.
For sure. So it's not just as simple as like concrete is good, wood is bad, or whatever.
No, not at all. We need to move away from those simple labels and assumptions and really dig deeper into the nuances of each material, how it's sourced, how it's processed, all that.
It's like being a building detective.
I like that.
Figuring out what's best for each project.
Yeah, building detective.
But that actually brings up something else that I was thinking about.
Okay.
Which the MIT report kind of highlighted too, which is the lifespan of a building.
Oh, yes.
Like I never really thought about how long a building lives. We tend to focus so much on the construction phase.
Right.
And like getting it built.
Easy to overlook, but buildings are like designed to last for decades.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Even centuries in some cases.
Right, right.
And that has a huge impact on the environmental equation.
So like if you have two buildings that take the same amount of resources to build, but one lasts twice as long.
Yeah.
It's basically like you've cut the impact in half over time.
Exactly. Yeah. You get twice the use out of the same initial investment.
Right.
It's a powerful argument for durability and resilience in construction. And that's where concrete really shines, right?
Yeah. I mean, concrete structures, everyone knows they can withstand almost anything.
They can. Storms, fires, all of that.
Yeah. They require less maintenance over time, which also, helps reduce the impact.
It does. Less stuff needs to be trucked in, fewer repairs, all of that.
Right. So, okay, so we got to be mindful of the emissions from concrete production. But we also need to weigh that against the long-term benefits.
For sure.
Like the durability, the energy efficiency.
Right.
And the potential for those cool, like low-lift cooling technologies and stuff like that.
Absolutely. It's like investing in a building that's built to last in every sense of the word.
I like that. So this deep dive has really been eye-opening.
Good. I'm glad.
It's made me realize how complex sustainable construction really is.
It is, yeah.
There's no easy answer.
There isn't, no.
It's not one size fits all.
No. We have to consider the context of each project.
Right.
The climate, the building's purpose.
Yeah.
What materials are available locally.
Right.
Lots of things to think about.
And we need to be constantly, like, improving, innovating.
We do.
Pushing the limits.
Yeah, and even small changes, when you multiply them across, millions of buildings. can lead to significant progress.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of pushing the boundaries, the MIT folks, they didn't just analyze existing buildings.
Right.
They also explored some really interesting possibilities for, like, the future of construction.
Yeah, they looked at those what-if scenarios, pushing the limits of what's achievable with concrete tech.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What, like, futuristic concrete are we talking here?
Well, one of the most promising things is integrating renewable energy sources directly into concrete buildings.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, like, solar panels seamlessly built into the concrete facades.
Okay, yeah.
Capturing sunlight to power the building itself.
So the building's like its own little power plant.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
And it's not just solar. They're also exploring integrating wind turbines into structures.
Wow.
Even geothermal energy systems.
Oh, wow.
To tap into the Earth's heat.
So concrete's becoming more than just a building material.
It is, yeah.
It's like an active participant in creating a more sustainable future.
Absolutely.
I love it. And that's not all, is it?
No, there's more. They're also looking into something called smart concrete.
Smart concrete. Okay, what is that? Is it like concrete that can talk?
Well, maybe not talk.
Okay.
But it's definitely a step towards buildings that can think for themselves.
Oh, wow.
So basically, smart concrete has sensors embedded in it.
Okay.
And other tech that lets it monitor its own condition.
Huh.
And even adapt to changing environments.
So like it can tell you when it needs a checkup or a repair?
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
These sensors can detect cracks or corrosion or other signs of, deterioration before they become big problems.
Right.
So you can do more targeted repairs, extend the lifespan of the building.
So again, that ties back into the smaller environmental impact over time.
Exactly. Everything's connected.
Yeah.
And smart concrete can also respond to things like changes in temperature or humidity.
Oh, wow.
So, for instance, it could automatically adjust its properties to improve energy efficiency.
Interesting.
Some researchers are even working on concrete that can change color.
What?
Yeah, to reflect light and reduce the need for artificial lighting.
It's incredible. We could have buildings that are not only efficient and durable, but also like responsive, adaptable to what's going on around them.
That's the idea. It's a cool glimpse into the future where concrete technology and sustainability merge to create a whole new way of designing and inhabiting our world.
Okay. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah.
From the energy efficiency of concrete homes to the mind-boggling potential of smart concrete.
It's been a journey.
It really has. So I think we should take a moment to kind of recap.
Okay, yeah.
The key takeaways for our listeners.
Sounds good.
Just to, crystallize those nuggets of wisdom.
Let's do it.
So first and foremost, I think we learned that a building's operational energy. The energy used for heating and cooling, powering it.
All that.
Is the biggest factor in its environmental impact. Not the materials themselves.
Materials.
That was huge for me.
Yeah.
So focusing on energy efficiency is key.
It is.
And concrete, with its superior insulation, the thermal mass, really delivers on that.
It does.
We also discovered that a building's lifespan plays a big role in its sustainability.
Longevity is key.
Yeah. A durable building that lasts for generations effectively reduces its impact per year.
Exactly.
And again, concrete, with its strength, resilience, it's a prime candidate for that.
It is.
We can't just build and forget about it.
Nope.
We have to think about how long it's going to last.
Right.
How it's going to perform over time.
Absolutely.
We also talked about the importance of that whole environmental recipe.
The whole recipe.
It's not just emissions. It's also about water use, resource depletion.
Yeah.
The impact on those ecosystems.
All of it.
Got to be mindful of the whole picture.
Yep.
Where the materials come from, how they're produced, how they're eventually disposed of.
Right. Or reused.
Or reused, yeah, ideally.
Yeah.
And finally, we got this glimpse into the future of concrete.
Yes.
With the renewable energy, the smart concrete, all that.
It's exciting stuff.
It is. It's inspiring to see concrete technology becoming a force for positive change.
It is.
So for everyone listening, as you navigate your concrete jungle out there, remember that sustainability is a journey.
It is.
It's not a destination.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, keep making conscious choices.
Because those small choices, when you multiply them across communities and cities, they can really make a difference.
They can. Now, for that final thought-provoking idea to leave our listeners with.
Ooh, yes. The one that will keep them thinking even after the episode's over. What have you got?
Well, the MIT research focused mostly on environmental impacts.
Right.
But what about the social and economic dimensions of sustainability?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
It's not just about the planet.
Right.
It's about people, too.
It's about people.
Their well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do we design buildings that not only minimize their environmental impact, but also improve the lives of the people who live and work in them?
Right.
And how do we make sure those sustainable practices are accessible, affordable for everyone?
Yeah, yeah.
These are questions worth thinking about.
It's about creating a future where our built environment is not only good for the planet,
right,
but also socially just and economically viable.
A future where sustainability thrives on, the interconnectedness of people, planet, and prosperity.
Yeah.
And that's a future worth building together.
It's funny, we talked about sustainability as this big global thing.
Yeah.
But it really starts with us, right?
Absolutely.
Like the small choices we make.
Every day, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Individual actions, they might seem small, but when you multiply those across a whole community, across society, they can become a really powerful force.
Absolutely. And this research we've been looking at from MIT, it's given us a lot to think about.
It has.
But ultimately, it's about empowering you to make better decisions.
Right.
Whether you're, choosing an apartment, renovating your house, even advocating for better practices at work.
Right. Every decision counts.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of decisions,
okay,
there's this fascinating concept that we kind of touched on.
Okay.
I think it's worth going a little deeper.
Yeah, tell me more.
It's the idea of circularity in construction.
Circularity. Okay, now I'm picturing like a building shaped like a donut.
Haha, that's a fun image.
Yeah.
But in this case, circularity refers to a more sustainable approach.
Okay.
To like the whole life cycle of building materials, closing the loop.
Ah, okay, you got it.
Yeah.
So instead of that traditional take, make, dispose, we're talking about reusing stuff.
Exactly. Reusing, repurposing.
Okay.
Imagine a building that's designed to be disassembled.
Okay.
Where you can easily separate the components and reuse them at the end of the building's life.
Oh, okay.
It's like building with Legos.
Oh, I like that.
You can take them apart, build something new.
So where does concrete fit into all this?
Well, concrete's actually a great candidate.
Okay.
Because it's so durable.
Right.
And recyclable.
Okay.
We can crush old concrete, use it as aggregate in new mixes, or repurpose concrete elements for something totally different.
So we're not looking at waste, we're looking at resources.
Exactly. It's a whole new way of thinking about construction.
Yeah, it is.
Shifting from a mindset of waste to a mindset of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Recognizing that these materials, they have value long after their initial purpose is done.
That's really cool.
It is.
It feels like a much more holistic way of approaching the whole thing.
It really aligns with those core principles of sustainability.
Right.
Minimizing waste, conserving resources, creating a better relationship, between us and the planet.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a journey.
It has.
From energy-efficient concrete homes to smart concrete. And now this whole circularity thing.
It's amazing what you can learn about something we see every day.
You just walk by a building and don't even think about it.
Exactly.
And it really reinforces that sustainability is something we can all do.
Yeah.
Every day. It's about the choices we make.
Right.
So as we wrap up,
okay,
I think a good call to action is just, embrace that power of making informed choices.
Yes.
Advocate for better practices and never stop learning.
Never stop questioning, exploring, pushing the boundaries.
Because we can create a world where these concrete jungles are symbols of
what?
Of sustainability, innovation, a brighter future for everyone.
A better future.
Yeah, and it all starts with us.
It does.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.